Number 1, step forward.
Hand me the keys, you fucking cocksucker.
Number 2, step forward.
Give me the fucking keys, you fucking cocksucker motherfucker!
Knock it off, get back. Number 3, step forward.
Hand me the keys, you cocksucker.
In English, please.
Excuse me.
In English.
Hand me the fucking keys, you cocksucker. What the fuck?
Recording live from the Sporting Life Bar at 7770 South Jones Boulevard, it's the Big Mex and Jamie Show, starring two guys who want to pleasure your holes at the same time on Volume11Music.com.
Volume11Music.com, Big Mex and Jamie Show. Big Mex here, and there is no Jamie. Instead, I have a very special guest today, Mr. Josh Bell of the Las Vegas Weekly. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. Josh and I have known each other, I would say, and now going back, we're talking about this off the air, going back to my first day in radio, which was the summer of 2001.
Yes.
So we've kind of known each other kind of in passing at some point. So, and we both interned at it's when it was Extreme Radio.
Yes.
I loved that station. You know that station is going to be 20 years old this year?
That's amazing. Yeah. I remember, I don't know if you grew up here, but I remember when it became Extreme Radio when I was in high school.
It changed right before I got here.
Okay. Yeah. I remember because as a teenager here and when I was in high school and they started with that format, it was really cool and exciting, of course, that they were playing all that music.
Right? I know.
There was another alternative station called The Edge.
Yes.
Yeah, but they weren't playing as much of the heavy rock, which was what I was
What were they
into.
playing? I wasn't here when The Edge was around.
I mean, it was 90s grunge kind of stuff, so it was cool. I definitely listened to it, but Extreme started when it was like, well, you're wearing a Rob Zombie t-shirt.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Stuff like White Zombie and Korn and Deftones and that kind of stuff.
Limp Bizkit?
Yeah, Limp Bizkit.
At first.
I don't want to say that I was a fan of Limp Bizkit, but yeah, all that kind of stuff, the heavier stuff.
Yeah.
And then they would play like Metallica, which was never considered an alternative band.
Yeah.
And they still played the grungier stuff, and now, of course, they have shied away from that heavy music.
Unfortunately, yes. Yeah. Unfortunately. So, but it is, I mean, the station's going to be 20 years, and I was, I remember my days there with Hardy and Ripley, Taylor, Jeff Anderson, who I now work with over at Beasley, Homie. I co-hosted Hurts with IP with Homie for a little bit,
yes.
And it was definitely a fun time. But you and I have known each other, again, like I said, for off and on for the better part of 16 years, and I see you at a lot of movies, and you have, I would say you gained kind of a reputation of just really not liking a lot of movies.
Well, yeah, some people feel that way. I mean, and it's a good brand to cultivate. You know, I have the whole
totally, I get it. Yeah.
Josh Bell hates everything. When I was doing movie reviews on the former Area 108, which was a short-lived alternative station with Gonzo in the morning, and he and his co-host Nicole put together this theme song for me, this Josh Bell Hates Everything theme song, and that was kind of that they did all on their own, and I kind of took that in and made that into my brand. So I don't actually hate everything, but it's a memorable thing. People will remember it, and I feel like it's been an effective branding technique because I don't even really use it that much anymore, but people meet me and they're like, oh, Josh Bell hates everything. So, that was good. You remembered that, didn't you?
Yes, exactly. So so we're going to talk movies right off the bat. And I say bat. Bats versus Soups.
Yes.
All right. Did you see it?
Yes.
What did you think of it? And then we'll get into some details after that.
I did see it. Reviewed it in Las Vegas Weekly. You can pick up or look online for that. And I didn't really care for it.
Okay.
I have to say. I know there's been this whole, really to me, overblown critics versus fans. I mean, this is a common thing with a lot of movies. For some reason, it's gotten more attention this time. I thought it had a lot of flaws. To me, the main thing about this movie is it's just so incredibly disjointed. It's a 2.5 hour mashup of so many different kinds of things that they're trying to do with this movie. They're trying to make it, it's a sequel to Man of Steel, the Superman movie from a few years ago. So they got to kind of follow up on stuff that happened there. They've got to introduce the new Batman played by Ben Affleck. They've got to set up future movies for the Justice League and Wonder Woman and The Flash and Aquaman and Cyborg. And they've got to bring in Lex Luthor. They've got to tell his story. They've got another villain who shows up in the last half hour. And it was just this constant succession of scenes that almost felt like they didn't connect to each other. So to me, the biggest problem with this movie is in the writing, the writing and directing, the construction of it as a story. Okay. I think some of the performances are decent. I think Ben Affleck comes in and does a good job taking over the role of Batman, and I really liked Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Makes me look forward to that movie.
Yes.
But overall, I don't think it worked. But obviously, many people did not agree with me.
You know what? As I mean, a lot of people didn't agree with a lot of critics, but
Yes.
As a fan, I'm not a fanboy of Superman or Batman at all. I mean, I like the movies. I think they're great. I'm more of a Marvel character. I'm more like the darker, dirtier, grittier characters I'm more into.
Right.
I absolutely loved this movie.
Okay.
Now, I can see how people didn't like it because of the choppy type scenes, how it was edited together. And the way I see it, I looked at it as a comic book. And I've seen it twice, and I could say, okay, I can see what they're trying to do there, kind of overlapping audio from the previous scene onto the next scene. I got that part. But as I think Zack Snyder did it for the fanboys. And I think that's why all the fanboys love it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't know if they all do, and I think especially in his conception of Superman, I think that's where a lot of hardcore fans, and I wouldn't either say that I'm a huge fan of Superman or Batman. I mean, I'm a comic book reader, and I have read Superman and Batman comics, although not much recently. But I think the people who really have been dedicated Superman fans for their entire lives, especially with Man of Steel a few years ago, and then it kind of continues into this movie that Zack Snyder's conception of Superman as this kind of chilly, aloof, alien figure. He's not this all-American force of good the way he is in most of the comics. I think that actually has turned off a lot of fans. And for me, what's important is not necessarily that he gets in line with the way Superman is portrayed in the comics. It's okay if he has his own vision of what Superman is. I just think that the vision of Superman, and especially when you bring in Batman here, because Batman is in a way, in a lot of ways, the same kind of vision. It's just so one note, and it's just so limited in what these characters can be, and I think that gets really monotonous over the course of 2.5 hours, that these characters don't have any dimensions to them.
You think had the movie been longer, it might have worked better in his favor?
I don't want to see more of it, but maybe there's a 3-hour cut that's coming on home video. I don't really want to watch 3 hours of it, but I mean, something I said in my review is that it feels like at the same time it's too long, because you sit there for 2.5 hours and it's just kind of punishing for that much time, and then not long enough because it's so limited again in what it can show, especially because it's trying to do so many things. I mean, like Diane Lane as Superman's mother, she has like 3 lines in the entire movie, because there's not room for her.
And I didn't, and those little scenes I totally get, like, why was it there? But the one with Kevin Costner, I mean, I don't think there was any reason for Kevin Costner to show up. I don't think there's any reason but I mean, maybe they had the mom show up, because I never realized that both their moms' name is Martha. I'm like, holy shit, both their names are Martha. Like, I never thought about that.
It's an important plot point.
Which is
kind of
I
contrived.
gotta remember to put spoiler on the top.
I think everyone's seen it at this point.
Yeah, well,
everyone who cares has seen it at this point.
Everyone who cares has seen it. It's not like Star Wars, which we'll get into a little bit. But I'm looking forward to the 3-hour cut. Honestly, I'm looking forward to that, and I've seen some of Warner Brothers has released one deleted scene with it's called Communion or something like that, with Lex in front of this character named Steppenwolf. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a fanboy.
Right.
Are you familiar with Steppenwolf?
I mean, the name sounds vaguely familiar. Like I said, I haven't really read Superman comics in a while, and it was never my favorite thing. So maybe, but I don't know if I would recognize it.
I think he's called one of the New Gods.
Oh yeah, the New Gods I definitely have heard of, and
he's one of the New Gods.
Right, and there's that scene, that weird dream sequence that makes no sense, which is another extraneous thing that they throw in, and that references the New Gods.
It does reference the New Gods, and it also, like, I saw a video online today where J4, whatever the guy's name is on YouTube, he talks about how this movie intertwines a lot of different storylines, and that's where the Flash comes in. References not injustice. God's among.
Oh yeah, Injustice Gods Among Us, which is a video game, I think.
Also,
yeah,
but it's also a storyline.
Yeah,
so it references that, and it totally like opened up. Like I was like, oh, okay. Now I wish everybody could see this because it kind of tells why that was there.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like if you need a YouTube video to explain to you why things are in the movie, then the movie has failed. The movie should stand on its own.
Which is why I said before, like, it's for the fanboys.
Yeah,
it's for fanboys. So people who get it. So, on top of that, have you seen the new Daredevil? We'll kind of switch gears, but kind of not really. Daredevil series.
I have not watched the second season yet. I did watch the first season, which I liked, but didn't love as much as a lot of people did. And I'm curious about the second season, but I just have not gotten to it because it's not a high priority for me.
Okay. All right, so I won't ruin it for you.
Well, that's okay. I think I've read quite a few things already.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not really bothered by spoilers, so go ahead and ruin it for me if you want.
You know what? I don't like. This is my thing about spoilers. I don't like hearing about what's going to happen unless I absolutely know that I'm going to watch it regardless.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, if you tell me about what's going to happen on The Walking Dead tonight,
yeah,
I would be like, tell me, and I'd still watch it. But I don't like to see, like, Suicide Squad. In the very beginning of when they started shooting the film, it was like updates here and updates there and just snapshots. And I don't want to see that. Don't tell me what's happening on the movie because it's going to piss me off. It's like, it's cinematic blue balls.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right. And so far in advance, too. We have the hype cycle is so long that you're hearing these things like a year before you would even be able to see the movie anyway.
Yeah. Tell me it's going to be filmed. Cool. Tell me when shooting's going to start. That's fine, too. I don't want to see updates online. I don't want to hear Jared Leto speak. I don't want to hear any of that until the movie comes out.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Is that one of the movies that you're...
Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be cool, I guess. I mean, I think maybe, at least it seems like it's going to stand on its own a little more than Batman vs. Superman. It's not... I mean, Batman vs. Superman, I think one of its important functions is to set up all these other movies that the studio wants it to do. Whereas Suicide Squad seems like it's a little more... It's allowed to be its own thing a little more, and I think that's positive. I think some of the cast members... are promising. I'm not really much of a fan of David Ayer, the director, and his other films that he's done. Not superhero films, but working in this, whether it's DC or Marvel, a lot of directors and writers, they have to serve the interests of the studio.
Yeah.
So maybe some of the things that I'm not crazy about with David Ayer films are not going to come up here. So. I mean, I'll see it, obviously, because I always end up seeing all of these movies for work. But I suppose I'm a little more interested in it than I was in Batman vs. Superman, but it's not one of my most highly anticipated films for the summer.
Real quick, what are some of your what are your movies that you're looking forward to this summer?
Oh, man. See,
you're personally looking forward to?
I always flub these questions because I forget. And I have to do a summer movie preview soon for the weekly. The Jason Bourne movie, I think that could be cool to see Matt Damon back with that and Paul Greengrass, the director. Of course, they shot some stuff in Vegas, which is always fun to see. I'm kind of looking forward to the Star Trek movie, I guess. Okay. I mean, I'm a Star Trek fan. I'm not sure about Justin Lin as the director who directed a bunch of Fast and Furious movies, which I'm not really a fan of.
A whole bunch of
some racing. The Enterprise is going to race somewhere. I don't know. But I mean, I like Star Trek, and I even liked Star Trek Into Darkness, which has got a huge backlash these days.
Yeah.
What else? There's the X-Men movie, which honestly in the trailer to me looks kind of crappy, but I've enjoyed all of Bryan Singer's previous X-Men movies, so I will give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe the trailer doesn't do it justice.
Yeah.
That's all I can think of off the top. I'm sure there's something else that I'm forgetting, but in terms of big franchise movies,
those are the big ones.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna play a song right now. This is a band out of Brooklyn, New York, called Shinobi Ninja. The name of the song is called Bang Bang, off their latest EP. It's called Fun Bang. So we're gonna play them right here on Volume11Music.com. Big Mex and Jamie Show. Volume11music.com, Big Mex and Jamie Show. That was Shinobi Ninja out of Brooklyn, New York with the song Bang Bang Off, their latest EP called Fun Bang. Jamie's not here today. Instead, I have somebody way more cooler than Jamie. Mr. Josh Bell of the Las Vegas Weekly. He's here. Where can people get a hold of you at?
Well, you can find me in Las Vegas Weekly. If you're in Vegas, you can pick that up all over town. Also at LasVegasWeekly.com. I'm on Twitter at SignalBleed. You can go to JoshBellHatesEverything.com.
Love that.
For my blog with various weird random movie stuff that doesn't get in Las Vegas Weekly.
Yeah.
You can also check out Facebook.com/JoshBellHatesEverything for my like page or whatever they call it now. Go and like that, and you can keep up with all my movie reviews and TV reviews and all that stuff.
I love to read your reviews, dude. I know some people, and I've talked to other people, and they're like, God, that guy fucking hates everything. I was like, well, that's his thing, though. That's fucking good. You know. And I tell him, just what you said earlier. I said, then you know. When I say Josh Bell, you're like, oh, man, that guy hates everything.
Right.
Exactly.
It's good. And you know, obviously I don't hate everything. I think, but I mean, I feel like I have high standards. And so if I like something, if I get something a good review, I feel like then that means something and people can know, like, I really am endorsing this and you really ought to check it out.
Okay.
So, hopefully.
Well, we talked about Batman versus Superman, and we talked a little bit about Daredevil on the last break. Have you seen that the Batman the Killing Joke just released a 12-minute sneak?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, the animated movie. No, I have not seen that sneak preview yet. I hope that's good. I haven't seen that movie. I've seen a couple of those DC animated movies, which I don't know. They're this kind of weird middle ground between they're like PG-13 rated, so they have some swearing and some violence, and one I saw even had sort of a sex scene, but they're still produced in this very kind of simplistic, or to me looks like kind of simplistic, almost kid-friendly looking way. So to me they're weirdly, they're not super sophisticated in their storytelling.
Kind of even a weird message.
Yeah, I mean, not even just a weird message, but just like in terms of their vision for what they're doing. I mean, just because you swear a bit or you have some violence doesn't mean it's actually a movie for adults necessarily. So I don't know. I hope this one is good. I like I said, I've seen a couple of them. I think there was actually one called Batman versus Robin, I think, that I saw a couple years ago.
My kids love all those animated
ones.
Those animated ones. We just saw Justice League versus Teen Titans.
Okay, yeah, that's a new one,
cool.
right?
And I'll tell you a little bit. And it's weird. You're talking about the sex and violence and stuff like that, and swearing. There is a scene when Starfire, I think that's her name, is talking to Nightwing via a Skype type thing. And she leans forward. She's just getting out of the shower, and you could see the expression on Nightwing's face, like, "Oh my, hey, what's going on here?"
Right.
And there's this like a weird scene where she leans forward, not deliberately putting her tits in the camera on the laptop, but you can see on the screen down below that her tits are right there, and you can see Robin's Nightwing's expression, like, "Hey, what's going on over there?" You know. So it's kind of a weird. They make subtle references like that for adults.
Right.
Like I try to explain, like, hey kids, I'll tell my kids, look at that, the in the camera.
There you go.
And they turn away and stuff like that. But so they didn't get it unless I would have mentioned it.
Right. But it's weird. I mean, I know in Batman versus Robin, I remember there's a scene of Bruce Wayne in bed with some woman.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Like I said, I've only seen that couple. I saw that one, and I saw a Superman one. I forget what it was called, where he fights this team that's kind of modeled on the Authority from the DC Comics. So it's called Superman versus I can't remember. It was a few years ago. And both of those, I came out of them thinking, well, that was all right. It's cool that they're doing this, but it's not something that, and they churn these out like 3 of them a year or something like that. So it's not something that I'm always looking for. But the ones like The Killing Joke that are based, they're kind of standalone things that are based on famous storylines from the comics. Yeah. Those are a little more interesting to me than the ones that kind of tell this long ongoing story that are just kind of another chapter in the ongoing story. So I might check something like that out.
Have you seen? Okay, now we'll kind of move into the TV era of what's going on. Jamie and I have these disagreements. We agree to disagree on a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the things is Supergirl.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Supergirl? And then I'll tell you which one of us agrees on that one.
I haven't watched Supergirl from beyond the pilot. I wrote a review of it when it premiered, and I liked it. It was something that I watched and I thought, that was pretty good for what they're trying to do. That was done well. Yeah. It doesn't I personally don't want to watch more of it. I'm kind of all of those DC live action TV series that are produced by Greg Berlanti and Andrew Kreisberg, Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl. I think they're all doing a really good job of capturing kind of old school superhero comics and in a way that is a little bit silly. So I think for that audience, it's very successful. I don't know that I'm really that audience anymore. I'm kind of over those kinds of stories. But I liked Supergirl. I think Melissa Benoist, who plays Supergirl, was really good.
Yeah.
And from what I've read about where it's gone since then, it's been successful. But I haven't watched beyond the first episode.
Well, I've watched every single episode.
All right.
Because I'm not their demographic at all.
Yeah.
But my wife is.
Yeah.
And we have 3 sons under the age of 12, between 9 and 12.
Yeah.
They love it. And I get it. I understand it. Jamie absolutely just refuses to watch it.
I like on principle or because he doesn't like it?
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know if he's even seen one episode.
Huh.
But I can appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah.
I think it was done well. The pilot, that's what grabbed me.
Right.
And I started to lose like, okay, whatever. Then Martian Manhunter showed up.
Yeah, I've seen
like,
pictures of that online and stuff. Yeah.
It grabbed me again.
Right.
And ever since then, it's had me.
Yeah.
It's had me. Just like The Flash initially. The Flash, I was like, oh, this is way cool. And then it started to peter off a little bit. And then I forgot what happened. I'm like, oh, this is badass. You know, and then it just gets me again. So that's my take on the whole Supergirl. Plus, I didn't even realize this. What's the Supergirl's name? Melissa.
Oh, the actress
Benoist?
Melissa Benoist. Yeah.
I guess she had sex pictures released.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, I just found this out. Yeah, you should check it out.
All right then. There you go. Something else to show your kids.
There you go. No, they haven't seen it. I won't dare tell them that. I won't show them that yet. Maybe next week.
Yeah.
But what shows do you watch?
What shows do I watch?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we're sticking in the comic book realm,
it doesn't have to necessarily be comic book.
well, we could start with that. I mean, I like iZombie a lot on the CW, which is based. It's very, very different from the comic book series that it's based on. But I read the series, the comic, a few years ago, and the show I think is really entertaining. It's a good mix of the case of the week kind of structure with an ongoing storyline. Rob Thomas, who's the showrunner, who was the creator of Veronica Mars, which is one of my favorite shows of all time. So I like that a lot. I'm actually watching a lot of CW shows. I like Jane the Virgin a lot. I love Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I think that show is brilliant.
I haven't seen that. I guess I'll have to.
It might not be, it might not necessarily be your thing. It's but I mean, I love it. It's this sort of, it's a relationship comedy musical, but it's got a lot of really serious affecting moments and a lot of stuff about like mental illness and just the difficulty of people relating to each other, and
but it's a musical.
It's a musical. There's like 2 or 3 original songs in each episode. Great songs, really creatively done. Rachel Bloom, who is the star and the co-creator, she started out on YouTube doing a lot of kind of parody songs. And so she's a very good singer and dancer and actress, and it's really entertaining. I'm a huge fan of that show. What else am I? Oh, The Americans is amazing, of course, on FX.
You know what? That's a show that I really, really, really wanted to get into. I've just, A, never had the time, and B, never, like, it just hasn't grabbed me, like, you have to see this now, Like, I don't hear about it, but I know I would like it once I saw. Was it the 3rd season or something like that already?
Yeah, I think this is maybe the 4th season,
3rd or 4th
actually.
Season?
Yeah,
okay.
But it's. I mean, I think it's it's an amazing show. It's maybe a little bit of a slow burn. Okay. I mean, I think I was into it by the after the first episode, but it gets better and better as it goes along. I don't know if it's on Netflix or where you can catch up with it, but I think it's absolutely worth the effort. It's a great show.
Have you seen 11/22/63?
I have seen that. And I'm a big Stephen King fan, but I haven't read that particular book. I've read a lot of Stephen King books. I didn't really care for it. Have you been watching it?
I've watched like 5 or 6 episodes, and I was like,
yeah.
I mean, it's interesting, but I just,
I didn't feel like it paid off in a particularly compelling way. Yeah. I didn't really care for James Franco. I feel like when James Franco tries to do kind of a straightforward role, I don't usually buy it. It always feels like he's kind of he always feels like he's kind of smirking at his performances, or like he's wondering like, how did I end up in this thing?
Yeah.
The female star, whose name Sarah Gadon, was really good, I think. But overall, it's not, and it's long. I mean, it's 8 hour-long episodes adapting one really long novel.
Yeah.
And I think you get to the end, or at least this was the way I felt getting to the end, and I thought that really didn't amount to a whole lot. So
has there been the 8th episode yet, or not yet?
Oh, sorry, I've seen all the episodes, but I don't know if the 8th one. I think it might be premiering this coming week. I think it's close to the end. There you go. Yeah.
Is it Monday?
Yeah, it's a Monday thing.
Okay, so
yes.
Tomorrow.
There you go.
So
yeah.
by the time you hear this, the last episode of 11/22/63 has already been out.
Yeah.
Speaking of Mondays and shows, Mondays are big for shows. Of course, you have 11/22/63. You have Better Call Saul.
Oh yeah, which I'm not. I never liked Breaking Bad. I'm like the only one. I watched the first 2 seasons of Breaking Bad, which I found a real chore, and then there was nothing in it that interested me. Yeah,
I can
so
see how that, because to me it was just like it had me since the get-go.
Right, and so many people. I don't think I've ever met anyone else who watched it and didn't like it. Yeah. I mean, some people are, I haven't watched that yet. I'd like to get around to it, but I found it slow and unpleasant to watch, and I didn't like. I mean, obviously the characters are bad people, but I didn't find them compelling. I didn't find Walter's journey interesting or worth watching. I just found it really tedious, like I said, to get through the first 2 seasons, which I watched only because people had talked about how great it was, and I thought I got to give it a chance. So I've never watched Better Call Saul.
You know what? And that's why I'm very careful on why I listen to other people's reviews or read other people's reviews, because personally, I like to go into a movie with low expectations. I want to be entertained. I don't want to have to think about what's going on around outside. I want to be entertained. If I go to a movie and I get entertained and I leave there happy, I'm happy. And I think that's an important thing for people to realize. Like, don't take it so goddamn seriously, I mean,
it's okay for things to be serious. I mean,
no. I mean, like reviews and stuff like that.
Right? Oh, sure. And I mean, and obviously, I hope people pay attention to my reviews and are interested in what I have to say.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think this goes back to that whole Batman versus Superman thing, and the critics versus the fans, and like, oh my God, the critics failed because critics didn't like it and people went to see it. Like, I don't think any critic feels like a failure if they say, oh, this movie was bad, and people go to see it anyway. Yeah. I mean, the idea is just to have a conversation, is for dialogue, for people to. And I think most people, maybe not most people, but a lot of people who read reviews, they don't do that even until after they see the movie or the show or whatever, because they want to kind of process it, and what did this person say about it, and did they reflect what I thought? So I don't think it's any kind of failure if I say something is bad and people go see it anyway. Like, that's okay. It's fine. They can, their opinion is just as valid as my opinion, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah. Gotham also Monday nights. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Gotham is also something I haven't really watched since the beginning, so I don't know if I can give a definitive opinion on it. But unlike Supergirl, which I watched and I thought this is pretty good, but I don't think it's something that I want to watch every week.
Yeah.
I didn't really like Gotham at all.
Yeah.
And I actually did a thing briefly in the weekly with the Batman versus Superman, a kind of ranking of various people who've played Batman and Superman over the years. And so I watched some clips of Gotham, which I hadn't seen in a long time, to see the kid who plays Bruce Wayne, who is terrible.
Yeah, he's not that. Yeah.
I mean, at least that was my impression in the clips.
But I think a lot of people felt that way about Gotham in the beginning, and then at the break they're like, look, we have to do something. And from what I'm mistaken, they actually decided that's when they're going to kill Fish Mooney character.
Oh, Jada Pinkett's character.
They kind of revamped that second part of the first season to like get people, because a lot of people were like, oh my God, this is nails on a chalkboard.
Yeah, and it seemed like one of the things that I was kind of annoyed by with it at first, where it was all these winking, like, oh, this person is going to be somebody eventually, wink, wink. And it seems like they've kind of pushed past that, and that they're really like, the people are that now. It's not just like, well, eventually at the end of the show, this might be Penguin or this might be the Riddler or whatever. Like, they're really embracing all that and making it more of a real superhero show. So that may be, it might be something I'd like more if I watched it again.
Now, they do, the one character, of course, that they haven't gotten to that part where this is going to be this person. They've done it a couple of times where this could be, like you just said,
right.
There was a couple of characters where this could be the Joker, and then that person ends up getting killed. But now what they do is they subtly put things like They had I forgot, it was the second part. It was the first part of the second season where the camera kind of panned, and it had a ha 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 spray painted on
Right.
the wall, but they didn't, and it was just panned, and they never went back to it again. So I liked that part of it, making references to the Red Hood gang, stuff like that. So this season the second season has definitely kicked it up.
Yeah.
I know, a bunch from that first part of the first season. So let's I don't know, let me see. I'll tell you what, let's play another song. We'll come back. We'll talk about David Bautista.
Okay.
All right.
That's not a topic I expected,
Yeah,
but all right.
no, probably not. But we'll talk about David Bautista and how he went from like this guy to the guy.
Yeah, he's
the
a big
guy.
deal right now, it seems like. Yeah.
So we'll talk about that right now. This song is from a band called Full Fledged. And for those of you who read our reviews on all the mathcore and all the harder stuff that we review here at Volume 11, Kenyatta Smith, or I call him Kenny, is in a band called Full Fledged. This song is called Impermanent, right here on Volume11Music.com. That was a band Full Fledged with the song Impermanent. Big Mex here, Big Mex and Jamie Show. Special guest Josh Bell of the Las Vegas Weekly. Thanks again for coming out today.
It's been a good time.
Yeah, thanks, man. So some of the new music that's coming out, that just came out this past Friday, Blackstone Cherry's new album, Kentucky, came out, and American Head Charge, Tango Umbrella. I got both of those, and they are really good, both really good albums, so you definitely want to get those. We talked about movies earlier, and I know it's been, the movie came out back in December, but The Force Awakens, the Blu-ray's coming out on April 5th, I believe. What do you think? What do you think the future of that franchise is going to be like?
I mean, I'm optimistic for it. I think I liked The Force Awakens. I thought it was a very effective reintroduction, as well as a way to like a springboard for future stuff. I thought the new characters in it were really entertaining. Daisy Ridley was excellent. I mean, she's supposedly maybe going to be the new Tomb Raider, and she's got a big career ahead of her, I'm sure, and she deserves it. John Boyega, also really good. I love Oscar Isaac in anything. BB-8, of course, the cutest thing in the world.
What has Oscar Isaac been in other than this? I've never...
Oh, man, you got to go see Ex Machina. He's awesome in Ex Machina, which is a great movie.
Okay, now that looks like a movie I would like a lot.
Yeah.
It's just something about it just doesn't grab me.
I don't know what to say, man. It grabbed me, and
okay.
I mean, it's a smart science fiction-y thing.
Okay.
It's got great performances, not only from Oscar Isaac, but also Alicia Vikander, who of course just won an Oscar, Domhnall Gleeson, who was also in The Force Awakens.
Okay.
It's got great special effects, which won an Oscar. The production design, it's a really creepy story with some twists, and I mean, I think it's a really good, and if you like science fiction at all, it's a really good movie.
I'm sold on it. I mean, and I knew all that. It's just something, I was like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you won't like it, but I think it was great, and he's great. Oscar Isaac is great in it. Inside Llewyn Davis, the Coen Brothers movie where he plays a folk singer, another great movie, and he's really good in it. And those are very, very different roles.
Okay.
So yeah, I like Oscar Isaac a lot in general. I'm glad to see that he's becoming a star. So I'm optimistic for Star Wars. I think Rogue One could be cool, and certainly Episode 8 with Rian Johnson as the writer-director. I mean, he's done some really fascinating films, Looper and Brick, and we were talking about Breaking Bad.
Was good,
Yeah, Looper was really good, very smart science fiction thing, and Rian Johnson also directed some Breaking Bad episodes. So yeah, I'm optimistic for Star Wars.
All right, so we were also, before we left the last segment, we talked about David Bautista, and a lot of people who don't know, that aren't familiar with wrestling or wrestling,
Is that how you call
David
it?
Bautista was a wrestler, and he was one of those type characters where he was kind of a bonehead, in the beginning.
I'm not a wrestling fan at all.
I'm not really a huge wrestling fan. I know of it, and I watch sometimes of it, some whatever. But he just seemed like a meathead, not a bonehead, but a meathead.
Sure.
So he went off and he kind of disappeared. I guess he was doing Guardians of the Galaxy, because when he came back, he was this different person that was no longer meathead. Now the dude's in 007. He was in 007 Spectre.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's going to be in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and I guess now he's going to be in Blade Runner.
Yeah, I think whenever a movie is looking for a really large dude who's imposing and, maybe has some okay acting chops, he becomes the guy. I thought Guardians of the Galaxy was really good. I wouldn't say he was one of the highlights for me.
I thought the lines that he put out were hilarious.
There were some funny lines. I felt like his delivery, I don't know. I was conscious of the fact that, maybe this guy is a wrestler. He's not an actor. He's not a great actor. Unlike The Rock, seeing him, I think he's a good actor. He never feels awkward in his performances. But Dave Bautista, to me, still was a little awkward. And maybe he'll be less so as he goes on. I thought maybe he was better in Spectre, where he didn't have a lot of speaking to do.
Yeah.
He's very good at being imposing just because he's really big.
Yeah.
But I don't know about giving a performance. But people loved him in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
So
I loved his character in Guardians of the Galaxy. And I didn't even know that was him until I saw the credits. I'm like, holy shit, that was Bautista. So, and now he's David Bautista.
Oh, not Dave anymore?
Yeah, not Dave anymore, so.
He's very mature now.
Yeah, he's very upscale these days. So, I mean, do you think he can take on those type of big role?
I mean, maybe. Obviously Dwayne Johnson has proved that it's possible, but I think it's rare. There's a lot of other wrestlers that come out of that, and you have a limited shelf life in that kind of extreme athletic arena, and they come out of that. And I mean, MMA fighters too these days, and they think, oh, I can become a movie star because The Rock did it. And has John Cena become a movie star? Not really.
Not really. He's had some decent.
Yeah, I mean, he was funny in Trainwreck.
Was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Yeah. But and I think he's probably a better actor actually than Bautista is. But yeah, it's always awkward. If you look at like MMA people, Ronda Rousey and Gina Carano, they're not good actors.
They are not good actors. Gina Carano, perfect example. The Deadpool movie. I mean, it was, just.
And she was fine. Again, I think the key to a lot of these people is you give them a limited role. You play to their strengths, and it's mainly about them looking really imposing and tough, and then they can do well. In Deadpool, Gina Carano, I think, fits better than she's done some indie films. She was in a movie called In the Blood that nobody saw, but I interviewed her for Las Vegas Weekly about that. Very nice person, of course,
very nice,
and from Las Vegas. But that movie where she's the lead and she's relied on to do all this emotional stuff and action too, but also she's trying to rescue her kidnapped fiance, I think, is what is going on in that movie. And anything emotional in that movie, she just cannot handle at all. So action-wise, yes, but range and acting, not so much. So you give those people the right roles, Dave Bautista and Spectre, and then they can do a good job. But I think expecting them to have the range of an action star, of an actor who starts out as an actor and then does some action is not. It's a mistake to expect that.
Yeah, I'm going to pull an audible here, and I'm going to ask you who has made the transition, in your opinion, who has made the greatest transition from one profession into acting, whether it's an athlete or a wrestler or whatever? I mean, who are you, you completely, you know what? I was completely shocked that this person could pull this off.
Well, I mean, we were just talking about Dwayne Johnson, and obviously he's done an excellent job. I think
he's done all right for himself,
Yeah, I think he's a very charismatic actor, and he does have range. I mean, maybe not a huge amount, but he can play comedy and he can be serious and he can do action. Someone else who comes to mind is Terry Crews, who was a football player, and I'm not familiar. So I never knew of him as a football player, but because I'm not a sports fan at all. Yeah. But as an actor, he's really entertaining. I mean, he's a good actor. You watch him on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and he's really funny. He was heartfelt when he was the dad on Everybody Hates Chris, and he can do action stuff in the Expendables movies. So I would give him credit. I don't know how he was as a football player, but he's a very good actor.
I didn't even know he was a football player.
He was in the NFL for a few years. Not a huge star, but he definitely was a pro football player.
Huh. Let's move on to some music. We've talked enough about movies and TV.
All right.
What do you listen to?
Oh, man. What do I? Well, I'm more of a casual music listener. I do write about some stuff. We were talking before the show about how I was at the ACM Party for a Cause festival this weekend. It was probably not your hard rock audience, but
I dig the country, man. I work for the old school station over at Beasley. I have a very wide range of musical taste. Yeah.
But I like some country. I mean, that festival is a little too homogenized for my taste. I mean, there was some good stuff at that festival that I saw this weekend. I listen to a lot of alt country, but mainstream stuff too. I still do hard rock and metal, going back to our roots at Extreme Radio. Yep. I think there's a new Killswitch Engage album out. I like them a lot.
Fantastic.
Yeah. They were here a month ago, I think, and I didn't get to go.
That was the Radio Contraband thing I was talking to you about.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
I've seen them a few times. I like them. I like them a lot. And now I'm blanking on. There's a new Weezer album out, I think. People are down on Weezer, but
I don't know why people don't like them. They just haven't caught that. Maybe they have, and maybe they're fine with that. Maybe that's where they want to be, but they haven't really caught.
I think the thing with Weezer is that the people who loved them for their first two albums, which is 20 years ago, keep expecting them to replicate that, even though they've taken this more pop direction. And this new album, I think, is actually a little reminiscent of that older stuff. So I've enjoyed, not that everything that they do is great, but I've consistently enjoyed them even past those original two albums, which I think some fans think is. I've had definite arguments with people who say everything Weezer has done since then is awful, and I don't know. I'm looking forward to listening to that new album more.
Well, and I ask you that because you know who David Draiman is, of course. Singer
Right, the
from-
Disturbed,
Yeah,
yeah.
from Disturbed. So last month he called, maybe last month or last week, whatever. He called out a lady in Dallas for texting during the show. He came out for the encore and totally like put her on blast in front of the whole place. The lady came, was like, you fucking texting to the whole show, have some respect for me. Now, he didn't do it in an angry way. Here, I'll play some audio for you real quick.
So what is so important going on in the world that you need to be texting the entire fucking show? A whole show! You're right up front, I can see you! Clear as day! You've had your face in your fucking phone the whole goddamn show! Are we that boring? Now don't tell me to go fuck myself. You already did by looking at your phone instead of paying attention. I'm not wrong. Am I wrong? If you were up here and I did that to you, how would you feel? It's fucking rude. It is. If you don't want to watch, don't watch. But don't stand there in front of the fucking stage in the front row of the balcony where everybody can see you texting the whole fucking time on your phone. I'll tell you what, can I at least have your word that I will have your attention for the rest of whatever's left of this set? Alright. See, now she's all pissed off. She thinks that I did something wrong to her. I love it. Welcome to the age of the internet, ladies and fucking gentlemen.
So he put this lady on blast, just like what you just heard right there, and now she went out. She went to the newspaper and was like, "I'll never be a fan again." And I was texting my daughter who'd make sure she got home safe from a storm and this and that. Now I understand people texting in a movie.
Oh, the worst.
Yeah, I understand that. But when you got kids, is it different from a movie? I mean, of course, obviously, you step out. If you have to text your kid, you step out of the movie theater.
Sure.
You go to the side, and you text.
And I understand that people have emergencies and things like that. I think it's a lot easier at a movie theater to step outside. It only takes a second, whereas at a concert, it's going to be a lot more difficult to do that, to step outside, and you might not be able to get back inside with your ticket or whatever. So, I mean, to me, concerts and movies in terms of texting and stuff are different. I mean, again, just having been at that festival this weekend, people are constantly texting. They're taking photos, and it doesn't distract. I don't think it really distracts from the performance.
From the show,
I mean, first of all, like at a concert, the performance is so loud that you can't hear really very much if people are talking or whatever. I mean, the performance is going to drown all of that out anyway. And there's lights everywhere, so I don't know. It doesn't necessarily bother me that much. It depends on what kind of performance it is. Maybe if it's a classical music performance and it's very quiet and hushed. Sure, absolutely. Then that. But at the Disturbed show, I can't imagine that woman was the only person texting at the Disturbed concert.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, he went out and he apologized. Okay.
All right.
I mean, have we come to that? Have we come to like, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings while you were texting at my concert. I'm sorry.
I feel like everyone in this story is an idiot. Like, she probably didn't need to go to the newspapers about this. He probably shouldn't have called her out in the first place, and he didn't need to apologize. Like, really, nobody comes off well here, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and that's why I bring it up, just to make sure that I'm not the only one who thinks these people are idiots.
No, you're right. They are idiots.
So, also, one other scandal that broke out, Wes Scanlin from the band Puddle of Mess. He was arrested again. So I think like a week or two ago, his band walked off stage in England.
Yeah, that dude he needs to go to rehab or something, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
and he stood there and there's video of it. Oh my God, it's like uncomfortable for me, and I don't give a shit about the guy one way or the other. So yesterday, cops show up to his house because somebody reported a breaking into of an automobile. Well, it was him and his buddies trying to jumpstart this car. It wasn't a breaking into. The cops show up. Guns were drawn. He's not coming out. They had to break in through the back door, pulled him out of the house. Do you think it's maybe the record labels or bandmates kind of responsibility to make sure that if they see that this guy's not mentally well, shouldn't like maybe the record label say we need to get you some help? Or
do they even have a record label now?
Apparently,
I mean,
of course they do. I mean, they still put out music.
Well, yeah, but they probably like I don't know for sure, but they're far from where they were popular.
Yeah, exactly. Or management company, even if it's management.
Right,
company,
right.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I think. Do they have a responsibility? I mean, I think it's like anybody. If you were, acting erratically like this, do your coworkers have a responsibility? Does your boss have a responsibility? Like, people are going to do what they can to help you, but the fact that these guys walked off stage, and I don't know anything about what's going on internally there, but the fact that those guys walked off stage to me indicates that maybe there's nothing they can do. For all we know, they've been trying for months or longer to get this guy help. If he refuses to get help, then there's a certain point at which you can't do that. And I know that in this particular band, it's not like these guys are his best friends that he's been with since he was a kid. Right, yeah. He's already alienated all of those people and he's hired some random dudes. And if you're a guitar player and you get hired to play guitar with this guy who is mentally unstable,
what happens?
Right. I mean, I think, like, what do you do? Obviously, you walk off and you go get a new job because you need to work. You need to get paid. So I don't think you can blame them for this guy's problems.
Okay. Well, fair enough. And on that note, let's sign off, yeah?
Sounds good.
It was fun, dude. Thank you again so much for coming out. I appreciate it. And I hope Jamie calls out sick more often. Maybe I'll give you a holler. No, I'm just joking. I miss Jamie. No, next time we'll all three come in and we'll all maybe talk movies. Maybe about, I don't know, maybe Captain America episode. Yeah, maybe.
Sounds good.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks again for coming out. Again, where can people reach you at?
Las Vegas Weekly at LasVegasWeekly.com as well. You can check out JoshBellHatesEverything.com.
Love that.
You can follow me on Twitter at SignalBleed or check out Facebook.com/JoshBellHatesEverything.
All right, dude. Well, I'll see you again at another screening sometime soon, and we'll talk to you guys next week right here on Volume11Music.com's Big Mex and Jamie Show.
Show's over, motherfuckers.